We won't see it.
Most of why I wore black. I always spill coffee on myself. It was like a recurring thing on set where like, last season more than this season, where you could always expect that I'd have coffee on my clothes by like 11.
It's a good excuse to wear black.
Yeah, that was Nico's color though.
So I asked them this question before, but I'm curious about your answer. In episode 1, we see Gert learning about her but her big connection with Old Lace now, and like we saw the little driving school that didn't go so well. So can you talk a little bit about her kind of discovering this new link with her and what we can expect with Gert's growth in that?
It's really interesting because she learns a lot about her powers and she gets to use them in some really fun ways, especially in the next episode. But there's also a lot of inner turmoil with Gert about whether or not she is a superhero type and what being a hero means to her. So there's a lot of push and pull with her internally over that, of just like maybe being a hero is going fully into activist mode and helping people in like a larger scale of just like policy changes and stuff like that. Maybe that's what being a hero is. Maybe being a hero is being on the streets and helping the everyday individual person. So that's a lot of what Gert's dealing with this season.
If you could personally be linked to an animal, like, what would you pick?
Could it be like, I'm thinking like feline circle. Like, I'd love to be able to talk to like street cats, but also like a tiger. I feel like, can felines count?
Yeah,
I'll go with felines. Cool, then that's my answer.
At the beginning of season 3, your character is alone. She's separated from all of the other runaways. How did it change the dynamic for you?
You know, it's interesting because I think there are a couple moments, and it starts with that first episode where Gert learns maybe her real powers are just her words. Like, she really gets a lot done when she can just sit face to face with someone and let it all out. I think that's ultimately a lot of what that dynamic is from the beginning, of just like face-to-face dealing with someone without the protection of other people. What is Gert's fight or flight response? It's words. And it comes back in really interesting ways this season. Damn, spoilers are so...
Last season, we saw Gert's anxiety, which was doing really well. And I was just wondering how you approached that.
The anxiety is less this season. I think that plot line was kind of wrapped up. It does come back a little bit. I can't say much about that. It's in the Cloak and Dagger episode, is all I'll say. But yeah, it's for the most part she's coping. She's dealing, and I think this season is actually really interesting. She's dealing with things a lot more logically and rationally than she is emotionally. I feel like last season was she was very emotionally driven rather than logically driven. Both can exist in one, but she's not in Gert.
Speaking of Cloak and Dagger, what do you think they bring to the dynamic of the group?
It's perfect because we just go full superhero with them, because it's just all the powers and every power goes together in some type of way, and maybe powers merge, maybe, I don't know, like cool stuff happens, and we go full like high concept stuff for that episode, and it's really fun.
How is it filming the algorithm scenes? Because we see that Gert's in.
Yeah, that was really fun because it's a version of Gert that exists only in the mind of Chase. So it was fun to play because it's not necessarily Gert. It's like what the aliens want him to think is Gert. So I got to go just full. I think there's a scene in episode 2 where I just got to be just hysterical. It was really funny. And then yeah, just playing that version of Gert it's great to get a little bit of distance because there feels like there's less stakes, but I can play around more with it, so it's fun.
Many people think Gert's a very relatable character. Would you say that you relate to her and you're more similar to her or more different?
I think as I've grown up a bit, maybe different, but at the beginning, very similar. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, Gert's growing up too, and now looking back, I see my younger self in her, and I want to give her advice. And I'm like, oh, it'll be okay, you're fine. But yeah, she is really relatable, and I think what's relatable is especially like this newer generation of teens just like care so much about all the right things, and Gert just cares so much. And that's such a relatable thing of just like wanting to help, and maybe not always doing the right thing, but wanting to do the right thing and learning and doing a better thing the next time. So that is what I find to be the most relatable about Gert.
Yeah. We're going to be seeing more feminism and her activism in season 3.
It's interesting. It's a little less blatant, but it also rubs off on people.
Yeah.
Is the really funny thing. Other people start chiming in and relating it back to Gert. There are a couple of fun lines that I'm thinking of.
Do you think that in Marvel Runaways, the female are like the badass in the group? I feel like the female character are so much more badass than the guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What was the question?
How do you think it's changing things for the audience?
How do you think it's like a change for the audience to see? I mean, it's one of those things where I love that we never really make it obvious. Like, we never have to explain it to the audience, so we never make it about that, which is fun because people can just watch it without even realizing how deeply it can impact people. But I just love seeing all the people who come forward and are like, I relate so much to this, and I don't think I've ever experienced something. Well, I have more and more, but like when I was growing up, there wasn't really a lot for me to look at and find myself in everywhere. Like it wasn't like I could just pick, you know, it was either like I cared about the girl character, or I cared about the Mexican character, but it was never like, oh, I have so many options of just who I actually relate to as a person. And I think that can be really empowering to watch when you actually get to choose based on personality and not identity. But identity is also important.
Chase and Gert seem to be the two people that are the most separated out of the couples. How will we see them for Chase and Gert fans? What can they expect in the season as they, I guess, maybe find their way back to each other? We don't know yet.
Expect the slowest burn.
Which is
the slowest warm tingle, not even a burn. It's a lot of work to come back from something like that. You have to put in hard work to regain someone's trust. And they're also, you know, fighting aliens and fighting Morgan Le Fay, and how do you find the time to actually sit down together and have an honest conversation with all of that going on?
Yeah.
And maybe Gert's not the best at dealing with things head on, but that's what she gets to learn about this season.
So.
Thank you.